Hey guys, let me do a little intro to this video, kind of set expectation. This is not really an install video. It's more of a tips and tricks and kind of a review. This is how it went. This is how it fit. To start things off, this little heap behind me, it's an 88 GT equipped with an AOD. Putting the long tubes on an automatic car is a little bit different game, I guess, because transmission's bigger. But anyways, just to let you know, there's I mean, y'all probably know this, but there's no such thing as a bolt-on. So you're gonna need a hammer, you're gonna need a grinder with a cut-off wheel or a sawzall, file. You're gonna need to be able to just kind of feel your way through this, but it's not impossible, and it wasn't that hard. I followed the instructions, and it worked out well. I do want to say that to do this job, the car needs to be high enough off the ground that you can get under the car, get my belly under the car, and also with long tubes, you need plenty of ground clearance to get them up in there. I had the front end about a foot off the ground. I had it sitting on the tires instead of jack stands, and I had the back end of the car about 8 inches off the ground, and that was enough to get these in. Let's see, I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the video. Hey guys, we are in the process of changing up exhaust. I was making another video and I deleted everything. I had the stock headers off my 95 on the car, and I wanted to put a set of Mac long tubes on, and they're like an early edition of the Mac long tube for AOD, and I didn't like how they fit. The flange was like really close to my transmission pan, and the oxygen sensor was in the wrong place too. So Bradley got those. He's going to cut the flanges off, put V-bands on them, and he's going carbureted. So it doesn't, those two doesn't matter to him. So yeah. So anyways, I decided to just put my equal length shorties on, and I just didn't sit well with me. So let me show you what I got and what the plan is. So I got this part number. These are long tubes. They are very, very similar to the Flowtech long tubes. What brought me to these headers was a buddy of mine. A few years ago, a buddy of mine had a black coupe. It was a 5.0 AOD, and he put Flowtech headers on. They're like 120 bucks back then. And he said it wasn't easy, but he made them work with his AOD. And he had a pretty stout car. It was all pretty basic. It had an F-cam, GT40 heads, torquer intake, carburetor, and a plate. And he was running 11s in the quarter with a stock AOD. And 14 gears. So anyways, kind of remember what he said. I was like, well, maybe I can get these to work. I'd been online reading the reviews about these headers, and the reviews from a few years ago were pretty brutal, but the reviews in the more recent future actually speak kindly to these headers. So I believe that, and I'm hoping, not only do I believe, but I'm hoping that they have made some revisions to the design and made it easier. What was in the box was obviously two headers. We've got collector flanges, collector bolts, and gaskets. Also, if you're not running O2s, it came with these block-offs, which is really nice. And also came with these. I'm not going to be using these. I'll be using these. These were recommended actually to Bradley by Rodney. So I'll be using the Flowtech, that part number header gasket. So anyway, about to start the install. Fingers crossed. One other thing I wanted to note, I hope I don't have to resort to this, but this is the passenger side header. It has a slip joint here on this primary, Down here it's got a slip joint, and right here it's got a slip joint. So I'm hoping I can get it in without any trouble. On the instructions, it says be sure to disconnect the negative side of the battery. I always laugh with that. Anytime you work on a car, disconnect that. Okay. Most time I just don't, unless it really matters. Before checking your oil, disconnect the battery. Just kidding. Anyways, you're so close to the starter on these. It's actually a credible thing. So disconnect your battery before you go jamming the header up in there and short it out on the starter. I really tried to put this one in one piece, but I went ahead and cut the flanges, and that way I can put it in a piece at a time. But I had the motor sky high on one side, and I tried from the high side and I tried from the low side, and I just it ain't gonna go. So we'll follow the directions. So in the directions it says to put the number 4 on first, and they say the reason to do that is so that you can see if it's going to hit your starter wire, and it's going to hit my red one, the little signal wire. So I'm going to have to move it and tie it away, and then I'll be ready to put the number 3 tube on. So in order to get this primary out of the slip joint, I had to use a rubber mallet. And what the problem is where they cut it off, there's a little bit of a burr, and it's kind of grabbing inside. So I'm going to take a file and dress it out and make it easier to slip back in. Primary number 3 is on now. All right, it's starting to look like something. About to put this guy on. This weird looking 1-cylinder header. Anyways, so on the inside of all these, I took a file, and anywhere there was a ridge, I dressed it out. So I don't want my life being any harder than it has to be. So I did a little bit of file work on these and on the other end of the headers. So hopefully it'll slip in easy. All right, guys, it's in there and buttoned up. I told you wrong. When I put the number 2 primary on, I wasn't supposed to. So you go 4 and 3, and then from underneath you put 1 on. And then once you've got 1 attached to 3 and 4, then you can put 2 on, and you put 2 on from the top. It just slips in real easy. So number 2 is the easiest one to deal with. But they're on there, and it's easy to get to the spark plugs. It's not gonna burn up any boots. There were no shortcuts, but it fits and it's not hitting on anything. Underneath, I may end up going to like a slip joint or a slip fit, because the flange is still way too close to my pan. Also, I don't know if you can see it or not. Maybe. I cut the gasket, the header gasket, right in the middle. And that made it a lot easier. So I started with 1 and 2 and got 1 and 2 tight. And then I loosened up 3 and 4 and then put the gasket on for those. So it's just a little bit of a hack. You can hack it right in the middle, and it's way easier than trying to hold all 4 primaries and slip a gasket in there. So just a little helpful hint. All right, I want to show you something that might make your life a little bit easier. I notched my K-member out right here and all the way down. This makes getting the header in and out a little easier. It's ugly, and if you don't feel safe doing it, don't do it. But I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Anyways, I'm about to slip the header up in there. Wish me luck. All right, this is pretty tight. It's clearance on the K-member. See where I notched it. Need to go just a little bit more. Oh, sorry for the shaky. And we'll follow this brace and just kind of cut it back right there. I don't know if I'm getting into the header. That is so close. I mean, you couldn't. Yeah, you see how tight that is. Goodness gracious. Yeah, this little trick right here actually works quite nicely. So I've got a bolt in on the third primary back. Now I'll kind of hold it and kind of bounce the header, and then I can slip this one in the front. That's pretty decent clearance, I'd say. And then back here, it's got enough room to clear the shifter. I believe I'm gonna cut. Excuse me, it sniffles. I'm gonna cut this off, and just do like a slip fit kind of deal. And on this side, it's going to be a necessity because it's like hitting the edge of the pan. And let's see, over here, I won't be able to get my oxygen sensor in without it hitting the cooler lines. I don't want anything rubbing my cooler lines. I don't want to push them up and the bell housing chafe them. Overall, I'm happy with them. You know, 160 bucks. I got long tubes. I will say that under here, dealing with the steering shaft, I had the motor jacked up on the driver's side, and it was just kind of dumb luck and persistence. But I got that the number 8 primary, I got it looped in, and yeah, I thought I was gonna have to take the steering shaft off to get it in, but I just got lucky, I guess. Well, I've already started cutting on these headers. I haven't even run them yet and hacking on them. The reason I did, it's got this style, you know, collector. So it goes from a 3 to a 2.5. And that collector there is gonna hit the side of my transmission pan. So I cut it off, OFF. So I'm gonna use this slip fit reducer and a band clamp, and that will get me enough room on the side of the transmission where I won't have any interference with the pan. So getting closer to finishing this up. Also, I like the smoother transition better. I mean, that looks more better than that, in my opinion. Anyways, that's what's going on. Looking pretty good. With the slip fit, that collector won't be so close to the shifter over here or to the pan on this side. You see how close it is. Don't have a lot of room to deal with, but I think that's going to work out pretty nice. To cut the end off the collector, I use this tool right here. This thing is handy dandy. I've never used one before, but I really liked it. I rented it from Advance, and it worked really nice and really quick. I have read that they struggle with stainless, but mild steel, like what I was doing, it was fine. So that's a handy tool. The reason I used that is I was afraid my Sawzall would get away from me and get into the shifter linkage or get into the side of the pan. So that seemed like the best option. All right, well, it's all tied together. We got the Summit headers going to the Flowmaster Slip Fit reducers. They go from 3 to 2.5, and then that's my old H pipe. I had chopped it and had bogies in a tala tied all together for me. And oh, excuse me. And goes out to a set of Flowmaster Flow FX mufflers. It's a straight through muffler like a MagnaFlow or a Dynamax Ultra Flow. But anyways, there it is in all its glory. Sounds good. You can see right here, had I left the 3-bolt flange on the end of the header, it would hit the side of the pan. I mean, that's very tight. Over here is more clearance. But anyways, yeah, I guess that's it. Just want to show y'all what was under here. Well, guys, they're installed, and thank goodness they don't leak. Those slip joints on the headers, whether the primaries, fit in the header, not the reducers, but the primaries, they don't leak. I did not use any orange RTV on it, any of the high temp. I thought about it, but I was like, let me just try it just like it is. Anyway, happy to say they don't leak. For the first time since I've owned this car, I actually like how it sounds. As far as performance goes, I went and made a draggy run. I didn't video that, but the mile per hour is up 2.3 from what it ran back in November or December before the track closed. So that's good. Now that's not just headers, that's fuel pressure, and I went from a 65 millimeter throttle body to a 75. So we've got fuel pressure where it ought to be, got a bigger throttle body and long tubes now. So 2.3 is the improvement in mile per hour, and that's an indication of horsepower. So car sounds good. Runs good. I'm saying I'm very pleased with it. If you were to go out and buy some Mac headers or some BBKs, you'd spend a lot more money. And if you were to buy, even racier brand than those, you're going to spend some big money. But for 160 bucks, I can say that I'm happy with what I got, and they're working out just fine. So anyways, y'all, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.